Move that grand piano in.
Hi, who joined us from the name main conference?
Hi, this is the City of Pico Rivera.
Okay, thank you. And is Steve Carmona in the room? Okay, thank you. Chair, we have a quorum if you wanted to get started.
All right, so I would like to call the regular meeting of the CalChoice Board of Directors to order at 1 p.m. on August 19th, 2025. Board Secretary, please take the roll.
Town of Apple Valley,
Present.
City of Lancaster,
Present.
City of Palmdale,
Present.
City of San Jacinto, City of Pico Rivera,
There's 12. Just popped in.
City of Pico Rivera, City of Pomona,
Present.
City of Rancho Mirage, City of Santa Barbara.
Present.
We have a quorum.
All right, thank you. Let's do the flag salute, if you wouldn't mind joining me. Guy, you mind leading?
Right hand over your heart, repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any board comments or announcements to be made before we start the regular agenda? Hearing none? Oh, Pico Rivera, could you turn your camera on, please? As it is a public meeting. Thank you. Well, you're sideways. That's kind of weird.
I apologize. San Jacinto is in the house.
Okay, for the record, San Jacinto is present. There we go. Okay, next item is are there any public comments? Or actually, could you make the public comment announcement?
Members of the public can address the board on items on the agenda at the time the item is heard or during public comments for topics that are not listed on the agenda. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. In conformance with the Brown Act, no board action can occur on items presented during public comment. If you desire to speak during public comment and are in person, please fill out a speaker card and submit it to the CalChoice staff. If you are participating in a remote location, please identify yourself with CalChoice representative. When you are called to speak, please come forward to the podium and state your name to address the board regarding an item on the agenda. Please fill out a speaker card and submit it to the board secretary before the board chair announces the item. Thank you.
Are there any speaker cards?
We have no requests to speak.
All right, thank you. This takes us to the consent calendar. Actually, there was a presentation. That person's not here with us, but if everybody could stick around afterwards to take the picture so we can send it to CalCCA to let them know that we were all here and ready for their arrival. That brings us to the consent calendars, items 1 and 2. Are there any questions from the board on the consent calendar items? Yes, Haleli.
I had a couple of questions on the treasurer's report. I'm just really wanting to get a reminder of a few things. What the promotion and advertising costs for $171,000 was for last year. That was the first question.
And Tammy, would you be able to answer that?
So even though Tri-Pepe is in the Bayshore agreement, it's no longer in the Bayshore agreement. Okay, thank you. And then I see we went over budget a few times on certain categories. Is there a process by which the board approves those overages, or how do we manage that?
Operating expenses. If there's a large overages, as long as we are budget control, we don't need to budget between.
And then last question,
Sorry, Layla, we can't hear online.
Oh, Tammy, would you mind using the microphone just so that the folks online can hear you?
Thank you. I didn't have one a second ago. We normally do not make budget adjustments between single line items for overages or shortages. We look at the overall operating budget.
And then my final question is, it's a two-parter. What are other expenses and why are we so low on that expenditure? We budgeted 77,000 and only spent 600.
Again, I don't have the transaction detail.
So we budgeted in other expenses, $50,000 for a yet to be determined program for the new board in the event that the board
That's correct.
had something that they wanted us to pursue. It gave us the opportunity to have funding to be able to do that. And did not end up spending it. Great.
Thank you so much.
Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on the consent calendar items?
We have no request to speak.
Seeing none. Any public comment from the remote locations?
None.
Nope, not hearing any. I'll entertain a motion and a second for the approval of the consent calendar.
So moved.
Moved by Santa Barbara. Second,
Pomona seconds.
Pomona second. We have a roll call vote for the approval of the consent calendar.
Town of Apple Valley,
Yes.
City of Lancaster,
Yes.
City of Palmdale,
Yes.
City of San Jacinto,
Yes.
City of Pico Rivera, City of Pomona,
Yes.
City of Rancho Mirage,
Yes.
City of Santa Barbara.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I just want to make sure, Pico Rivera, can you hear us okay? Okay, sounds good. All right, thank you. Okay, so I believe Kathy Wells is going to be coming in later, joining us later. So we'll move on to item number 4, receive a CEO update, discuss and provide input regarding the CalChoice future vision, CEO position, and potential board workshop. Mr. Rob Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. A lot of items to discuss potentially here today. So hopefully we have some good conversation. The item was presented in a way to provide you information and then collect some feedback and hopefully get some direction to move forward. I usually like to be brief, brilliant, and be gone, but I'll be long, boring. No, I'm just kidding. I've found it very fascinating being this interim CEO as a city manager in another organization, right, and a CCA, and communicating with a staff of board of directors now. It's interesting to see the different levels of the playing fields in each one of the CCAs and see how they're coming together in this JPA to form CalChoice, right? And so a little bit of table setting. I did speak one-on-one with 6 of the 8 board members prior to this to get a feel for how the organizations were running and really what is the value of the CEO position. That was sort of the main topic of conversation, but of course we went everywhere and talked about a lot of things, and it was actually really good. From somebody who helped, or I shouldn't say helped, was in the building when San Jacinto launched its San Jacinto Power in April 1st, great time frame of 2018. It's been interesting to try to catch up, right, to where everything is now, how professional each of the CCAs are, how their prospective teams work. And so just getting that feedback has been pretty fantastic. And then, of course, we've transitioned from elective board, right, to a representative staff board. And so there are some challenges there, I think, as we move forward with what CalChoice is and what it could become should the board make decisions to see things or do things differently. So I really want to just kind of start with a lay of the land, the things that I know about from 2018, to put those things in your heads for conversation, for feedback, to ruminate, maybe for some future discussions or as we want to chat about it today. But in my opinion, as good as that is to some of you, CalChoice is operating the way that it was designed, right? The CEO is a city manager of a CCA group. It's mostly perfunctory. There is a contractual consultant professional expert staff that is headed by Barbara Boswell in the form of Bayshore Consulting, which is CalChoice, right? That is our team. And operationally, whether she likes it or not, she's really the operational CEO and in the facets of what we do. And she's also the current treasurer, but for the most part, she is operating at the same level of the CEO. And if you look at the ACFR, that's how the organizational chart was designed, and that's how it currently is intended to be. So CalChoice under Bayshore, very capable professional staff. It's created relationships and connected with other expert professionals to provide the administration overall for CalChoice. So everything from, daily operations, purchasing, resource adequacy, marketing, regulatory, legislative affairs, lobbying, the financial piece, the reporting, the banking, and obviously the identification of potential programs that you're going to hear about today in a program update. My understanding, and I believe the understanding of many, was CalChoice was formed to save the city's money, right? We wanted to work together to create a group for purchasing power and to commiserate through this thing called CCA life. The board should consider what direction, if any, changes preferred in the current operations and the CEO position. At the end of this update, which I'm going to belabor a little bit longer, I'll be happy to take direction as listed in the staff report. Specifically, though, what added value can a full-time or part-time CEO bring to the organization and at what cost? I think that's really the message and the question before the board. As I mentioned before, I had an opportunity to meet with 6 of the 8 board members and find out the state of each of the CCAs, how I, as an interim, could better serve them if possible, and if they even wanted that, and some don't. So I'm here to share that information with you as well. What issues they were struggling with. Obviously, we had some great conversations. Some of us wanted to chat more and more often. Some of us didn't want to talk to me again. So that's great, right? We all have our own CCAs and the way that we operate and the way that we're comfortable with, and hopefully the direction from the council on where those CCAs are going to go. And once you have that piece of the puzzle, I think it's then up to the CCA to decide how much or how little it needs from the CalChoice staff and the CalChoice team. Hopefully that makes sense to all of you. Some CCAs have built up staffs, right? They have a good staff team. They have solid direction from their city council. Some CCAs have small staff teams and have a good understanding of what the council expects. Some CCAs have small teams and have issues with council direction. Some have small teams and have no contact or little contact or direction from city council. So it's a mixed bag. And so it's before you to consider all those things in the direction in the future of where CalChoice is going. There's a lot of things to be considered here. Some CCAs like how the current structure is. Some CCAs want change to a full-time or more than part-time CEO. Some CCAs want to rotate the CEO between CCAs for a period of 2 years or so. Give everybody up there an opportunity to be the CEO. Some CCAs don't want any responsibility at all. It's hard to get 8 people in the room or groups at the same time and agree on everything, right? So the majority of the CCAs that I talk to, they would like to host a board meeting. And I think that would be a way to consider in the future of everyone getting an opportunity to go to someone else's CCA for them to host a meeting, even if it was just staff. I'm sure you could still have remote opportunities for people to remote in, but that would give maybe the CCAs each a feeling of how important they are in the group. As I mentioned, some CCAs, want more information and they want more contact with the CEO on a regular basis, and others never want to talk again. So either I made them mad or actually, I think what it is there's a great staff in CalChoice headed by Bayshore, and everybody knows who they need to contact and they make that contact. Is there the likelihood that bringing in a CEO full-time or part-time, that people would tend to go straight to the CEO and then the CEO would have to have all that information? You really need to think about where we came from and how everything started and who launched what, to try to get somebody up to speed to be able to do that, or potentially bringing somebody over from another CCA who already has that experience to perform those functions. Some CCAs want to be heavily involved to understand regulatory, legislative, rate setting, and lobbying issues. I think we've accommodated that. By we, I mean the staff of CalChoice. Another suggestion was to have the general manager hired by the board as well as the CEO. So there are tons of things in front of you. There's a bunch of ideas. I didn't want to trash it up by putting a whole bunch of slides with all this information on it. You pretty much, each of you probably have all this information and this knowledge, but now you have it in a public forum and you can digest it and chat about it. At the end here though, as staff, we're suggesting a full day workshop in taking the place or in lieu of the November meeting, and however you all want to decide to do that, if you're all agreeable on that. It may be important, and of course we would need to consult with the attorney, but it may be important to have a closed session, that it's just board at a closed session talking about the GM position and what the expectations are and all that, instead of being in a workshop format where their staff and public have the opportunity to come, all that, right? So it needs to be posted. It's got to be in one of the jurisdictions of the CCAs. So we're not doing anything behind closed doors other than you could, I believe, not getting corrected yet, have a closed session to have a discussion about the hiring practices or the hiring or the potential of who the next CEO would be. With all of that, I'm happy to take any questions or comments or add some color commentary or whatever you would wish, but really the intent of the update was to provide that information and then collect feedback.
Thank you, Rob. Well, I want to take us back a few meetings when we discussed the summit in October down in San Diego and what we are going to be looking to accomplish there. And a lot of that had to do with us as a board getting together to come up with the framework for who we or what we wanted from the CEO role and start progressing towards an actual recruitment of that position. However, in light of our legal review of of that plan, we're going to have to host any meeting where we're actually making decisions. It would need to be hosted in one of our jurisdictions. And so, Rob, if you wouldn't mind giving us a brief description of kind of what the summit will be in October, so that everybody's on board with kind of a shift from that expectation of where we would had planned to have that opportunity to have that conversation, and then kind of introduce the idea of we're scheduling a workshop within one of our jurisdictions afterwards to actually have that conversation.
Great question. So the summit in San Diego is your annual conference. So it will run and operate virtually the same way that it has the last several years. The nuance was going to be that in the CCA only portion of that, which is the first half day get together, we'll call it now, because I'm worried about the words I'm using, was going to be more of a working session with the board in an attempt to talk about and ruminate the CEO position, needs, value, all that stuff. That's not going to happen now. So you will have a couple of opportunities to hear from CalChoice staff on current operations, current programs. There will be a dinner that night, and then the next day will be a full day, which is Thursday, I believe. Is that still correct? I'm still correct. The next day on Thursday will be your regular conference with different opportunities to go and learn from all of the experts that we're calling in to have. And then I believe Friday morning, small piece of that might be some sort of a get together, but it's really the takeoff day. So it's going to mirror the last 8 years, 7 years, 8 years, 8 years of the annual conference.
And then I guess today, because it has been agendized, we can discuss maybe replacing our next meeting with the workshop, which would be held in it must be held in one of our jurisdictions. And we'll probably make that recommendation that all future conferences probably be held within the jurisdiction, so we don't run afoul of being able to actually discuss items converse of the Brown Act and whatnot. So it's not an action item, but it is direction to staff on how to schedule the next meeting. And maybe the next meeting could be held, and I am okay with rotating the locations. I could drive too. And I'm sure my staff wouldn't mind driving as well. But for the next board, our actual next board meeting would be our workshop to be held at one of your jurisdictions. I'm thinking like a 1 day. Yeah. So we have 4 votes already for Santa Barbara.
Motion carries.
I don't remember asking. I guess I did ask the question, not formally at least. But we probably, I think that I had actually suggested that on our pre-meeting call. But the idea would be that we have a good day deliberation in this workshop, because in addition to just discussing the CEO position, we have to remember that this was also intended for us to talk about the future of CalChoice and what are we trying to expand, contract? Well, we're not going to contract because that would get rid of us. Stay the same or expand, or really start getting into marketing efforts to bring on other cities, or is 8 enough? Really, just having those big picture conversations. This workshop at the summit was intended to do that, and so it's more than just the one agenda item. I propose that we plan for a full day. If we don't need the full day, we don't need it. And then there may be an overnight stay or something, either the night before or the night after, depending on what we decide. But I can get with staff and try to organize that. It would not be appropriate to poll members as to the potential location outside of this meeting.
Right, you can't vote on the location formally, I guess, but if you come to a consensus, if you guys are discussing and the next meeting is in November, I think.
Correct.
Am I on? Can you hear me? Oh,
Yes,
okay.
I believe you can direct the CEO to make that
Oh, excuse me.
determination.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry. If item 4 is discuss.
No, we can.
Yep.
Yes, yeah.
Put it on
I
there
was looking at
specifically. Yep.
The November 18th next meeting.
And I guess where I was going with that is that it would be good to have that conversation now as to the location while we're all Brown acted out and we're
Yep.
here,
Yes,
we're
absolutely.
public, as opposed to waiting for, I'm sorry, my sugar's really fine. As opposed to, I'll just throw that away. As opposed to waiting and doing some type of email poll thing afterwards. So I'd like to entertain, while Rob is here, part of his presentation, entertain the conversation regarding location, and then to replace the next board meeting with that workshop.
Thank you,
Right,
Chair. I have another comment as well. I think it would be, it's important to remember that this board is new to this, and we spent this year sort of catching up on the last almost decade of things that CalChoice has done so well, and the budgets and the contracts and all of that. And I think it would be really important for this to be a closed session so that we as a team can really work together and have some really frank conversations about what we want. Because it does sound like there's a lot of different opinions, and I think that would be important to do that. Happy to host in Santa Barbara, but also happy to go elsewhere.
Okay. Anyone else? I mean, Apple Valley is nice too.
Especially Guy's house.
Nice. Especially guys. Any other comments, suggestions on where? Do we want to just agree that Santa Barbara is the place?
So Jessica, Ranch Mirage. I'm okay with Santa Barbara. Ranch Mirage is also really nice in November. So
Right.
either one of those would be just fine with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Janelle?
Peter is good with either of those two locations as well.
City of Palmdale is fine with either of those locations. Sorry.
Okay. So why don't we do this? Why don't we provide direction back to staff and Rob based on costs and the availability of locations to host it? Either one is fine, is what I'm hearing from staff or from the board. And you'll just report back out to us as an invite to the meeting. One based on what you find.
And just for clarification, a component of the workshop would be closed session, and then there would be other opportunities to talk about vision and that, or you want the entire thing to be closed session and only board members?
I honestly think that as far as the vision for the CEO, if we're hearing that would be the closed session item. But as far as the much larger vision, I'd like to include my staff, who would probably travel with me in that. So
If I can interject, the closed session has to be on a specific, statutory item. So
it
I
would
would
be
recommend that the entire meeting could not be a
correct.
closed session. But specifically speaking on the CEO's duties and hiring a new CEO, that falls under a closed session.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So
Excellent.
yeah. So we'll have the agenda would be comprised of the litany of all that we discussed, and then have CEO job description / recruitment process
Appointment
thereof. Okay, be the closed session item. And then make available that space too, in case there is other litigation or outstanding negotiations with whomever that we can bring in. That is a meeting we can bring in other closed session item, appropriate closed session item.
Yeah, and I think you do it already. List out every item, and then you can choose to go in or not.
Right. The Allison Burns method.
Absolutely compliant with Brad.
Exactly.
Perfect.
All right. So is that clear enough? I think we, maybe, no, I don't think we need a motion on that. I think the idea is that we've come to a general consensus that it's either Rancho Mirage or Santa Barbara, which I'm okay with both. And, but it based on availability, affordability, and on the specific date that we have listed as our board meeting. Fair? All right. Okay, unless Rob, unless you have any other updates?
Nope.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I think I saw Tammy walk. Yeah. Oh, Kathy, there she is. I'm looking at Tammy and I hear Kathy. Are you okay? Are we okay moving Kathy before? Okay, the general manager update. So we will go back to item number 3. So I'd like to welcome Kathy Wells to the podium to give us an update on the Programs Advisory Committee.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Kathy Wells, Energy Programs Manager. Thank you all. I'm also referred to as KW. I like that when you guys call me that sometimes. That's fine too, but I'll answer to Kathy. It doesn't matter which one. I'm excited to share an update from the Programs Advisory Committee. Today, do I need to move this forward? I'm sorry. Yes, the remote. Okay, yes, today I'm going to go over, I'm going to give you an overview of the CalChoice programs that we have introduced. We're also going to talk about the Program Advisory Committee, current programs, developing programs, and a few of the future programs. Our first slide here is just kind of an overview of some of the CalChoice programs that we have brought to our members. In the past, it's always been sort of we develop the programs and sort of offer it to the CCA members as a kind of a cafeteria plan. You know, it's here for you. We're happy for everybody to participate, but it's not required. That was before we've had a change in our course with our new CEO and our new board direction. So we're very excited to get started on developing some new programs. Right now, we've got our CalChoice distributed microgrid program, the disadvantaged green tariff program, which has been in development. Probably that's been the one that you've heard about since I began with CalChoice, but I'm happy to say it's going to be launching in April of 2026. We also have our Equitable Building Decarbonization Direct Install Program. That is a long title for it's free energy efficiency upgrades for multifamily housing, multifamily residential. That is part of a coalition that we, CalChoice participated in. We got $280 million to do this program, and it will be no cost for customers to participate, no cost for CCAs to participate and develop this program. That's coming. We're still waiting for the marketing assets, but I will be rolling that out probably Q3, Q4. We also have our energy efficiency elect to administer. Many of you are aware that is through the CPUC. It is funded through public purpose program funds that every ratepayer pays. And we are developing a program for energy efficiency for small commercial customers. More to come on that. That's still under development. And lastly, our demand response program, which we have just introduced sort of our tier one, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on a few slides later. But those are a few of our already on the way programs. And now with the recent changes to our board, we're moving towards the new way of developing customer programs. We want to better align each with the CalChoice member CCA programming and sustainability goals. So with that, we put together what we're calling the Program Advisories Committee, or the PAC, as we refer to ourselves. It was created with our mission, which is to establish goals and interests for customer program offerings while establishing criteria, developing new and future programs that align with the priorities of the CalChoice CCAs. As you can see, the PAC consists of representatives from each one of our CCA member staff. We just formed and had our first meeting in February of 2025. So we're several meetings in. We continue to meet on a monthly basis or ad hoc as needed. And I'll talk about that in a few slides. The first one is we have already created a subcommittee. We've created a strategic planning subcommittee. One of our first meetings in our PAC, we determined that we probably need to define the purpose of the advisory group. We wanted to talk about, we need a program strategic plan. We want to establish the purpose of the PAC. We want to align with each and every one of your strategic goals, city goals, and really try to get something on our program docket for everybody that everybody can feel good about participating in. So that is kind of where we started. We did do a survey to the PAC. The topics we talked about, we asked about staff capacity, and that means staff capacity for participating in the advisory committee. What is your capacity? Do you have program budgets? Or if you don't, are you considering it? Then that's outside of CalChoice. Is there any existing and planned programs? What are your priorities and needs? And then also let's develop a focus for the CalChoice team on where we want to go with programs. So this slide is showing you our results of our first survey. We determined the top potential guiding principles and key takeaways. Want to note, most of the cities have adopted climate action plans, but many don't have budgets set aside to develop their own programs outside of CalChoice. A few do have budgets and administer their own programs, but most participate in the CalChoice program offerings. But the highlight of the result, our key takeaways, I would say, you can see it's starting at the top, affordability first, right? It's affordability not only for the customers, but also for the CCAs to put these programs on. And how can we do meaningful programs with less budget? That's always kind of been the way I've approached program planning for the CCAs. But the PAC is asking me to expand that. Let's look at other ways. Let's see if we can develop a budget and a goal. So I'm excited about that. I would say our strategic plan, they really want to focus on lowering rates and energy costs. That's both for the CCAs and the customers. Providing customer incentives. They want us to pursue grant funding, building impactful programs, increase marketing and outreach on their behalf, prioritizing demand response and energy efficiency programs. So This is all just to say, this is our very first crack at it. We just got started, but our next steps, the committee is going to convene. We're going to discuss the results, and we are developing a strategic program plan. And we will bring that back to the board for your consideration. Now I'm going to touch on a few of the current CalChoice programs. Our first is our flagship program. I'm really excited to talk about it because it's quite successful, and it's our CalChoice Distributed Microgrids program. You know, it started as a pilot in Lancaster in 2022. It was just residential customers, solar and battery install. Since then, in early 2023 is when we rolled it out to other CCA members. We have now expanded our program to offer residential. We offer battery retrofit. CalChoice Plus is a commercial program. We also have CalChoice Care, which serves underserved customers at a discounted rate. We also have CalChoice Renters, and the two newer that are on the bottom is going to be a CalChoice Referral Program. So customers get an incentive for referring people to participate. And we're also working on an EV giveaway contest. I will say the picture is a Tesla, but I want to assure you it's not going to be a Tesla only program. We're actually looking at doing, each city will have their own vehicle, each participating city, and we're looking at doing a variety of EVs just to avoid any political strain and variety. I think that that's a good way to do that. Okay. I will say we also have some stats coming back from this, and this is just the Tesla, which is the first program that we launched. When we first launched, we were partnering with Tesla. Tesla provides all of the assets, and they work with Participant Energy, our finance partner, to do the installations. We have today, actually this is as of the end of July, 140 customers in the pipeline. That means they are interested, they've submitted an application. They could be at any stage, permitting, construction. Actually, we have 71 out of those under construction. That's just the Tesla. Row. Thanks. But I will say in April, this past spring, Participant Energy introduced our local channel partners, and that was to bring on local solar installers in each of your jurisdictions that want to participate and sell this program to their customers. So they partner with the CCA and Participant Energy, and they offer the CalChoice program to each of the participating CCAs. It was introduced back in April. As of July, we've got 49 installations in the pipeline just through channel partners. We also have had, there's 3 to 6. I say 3 to 6 because I don't know that everybody has a total of 6 already onboarded, but we're looking up to having 6 local installers. And that is all to offer choice, right? It's to offer choice. It's to get buy-in in your community, right? It's also to get buy-in from your solar partners and your solar installers in your jurisdictions. I know in the past we've had conversations with local solar installers. How can they work with the CCA? This is a perfect program for them. It's been quite successful to date. I will say, don't let the bar fool you, but right out the gate, look at how fast everybody jumped up. Alpa Valley, bam. Pomona, bam, you guys, it's pretty exciting. This is another program that I'm really proud of. It's the CalChoice Care program, which we also launched with the introduction of local channel partners. That program we launched in April. We have 442 people that have been engaged in there. We have 99 already submitted for SGIP funding. SGIP funding is the Self-Generation Incentive Program. It's the funding that comes to the state, for those of you that don't know. And it gives you a rebate on installation of renewable energy assets. So this is just showing you how many we have just kind of sitting in this holding pattern, and it's about $2.3 million. That's pretty exciting. This program offers the same solar and battery installation, but the rate is at a 50% discounted rate. And I believe also it's a blended rate too, which is a little different than the traditional program, which has its own kilowatt hour rate and then a battery charge. This has a combined rate. Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up and talk to you about the CARE program. I think that that survey that we did shows that this is the type of programming that most people, and with these numbers coming in, that overwhelmingly shows you, it supports kind of what we found on our survey. Okay, I'm going to go over a few of our developing programs. Developing means we're talking about it. It doesn't mean we have budget. It doesn't mean we have anything other than the PAC is interested. We've decided to make some decisions on what programs we want. And the first one out of the gate is a demand response program. Demand response programs are for renewable energy assets, and they provide incentives to customers with those assets if they reduce their load during peak times, right? Or called events. The program goal, we wanted to complement and leverage our existing programs like the CalChoice, but we also have other programs that have assets out there. We've done Ohm Connect in the past, so we have smart thermostats out there. Some of our CCAs are looking into electric heat water pumps. EVs is another one that we can include. So this is going to be a robust program. I will say we did get another subcommittee going. We did another survey. We like to do surveys. And one of the first thing was, let's design this program from the ground up. And what do we want to name it? And the overwhelming name was FlexWise. I love it. So we came up with the program name, and then through the demand response offering, we determined we needed to have 3 different tiers, right? So different levels of, I would say, obligation or responsibility for the customer. The first one that we've introduced, we've actually already introduced it to many of your councils now, due to the SGIP, which Kathy is going to talk about on the manager update. But the first one is our peak pricing demand response. That requires you do not even have to have a smart asset in your home. All the customer needs to do is say, yes, I want to participate. If they agree to participate, they receive a lower incentive rate during those summer hours on those on-peak days. If it's an event called, they are required to reduce their energy. Now, that program will offer a load adder fee. If they decide they want to opt out and not reduce energy, they can, but they will receive the higher rate. And that's really to a neutral, right? We don't want to be out of pocket. That was our first one that we've introduced. Edison has a program similar. It's their critical peak pricing rate. We did mirror it exactly after Edison. But we've always intended on developing a more robust program. So the next 2 levels are behavioral demand response incentives and automatic. Behavioral demand response means you've got a smart asset. I've got a battery. I've got an EV, smart thermostat. When an event is called, they have to modify their behavior. They have to manually do it, reduce their energy load, and they get incentives. The third option is automatic. And we haven't decided what that's going to be, but typically you get a higher incentive in exchange for giving control of those assets. So during an event, we'll automatically reduce it. Ohm Connect rolled theirs out with the smart thermostats, you might recall, and they automatically reduce theirs. They change your thermostat. We want to give the customers an option. So, all right. A little bit about the SGIP funding. I wanted to kind of tell you why we got ahead of this announcement for our demand response program. We were made aware of this mandate by the CPUC that requires any customer applying for these SGIP funds, you must be enrolled in an approved demand response program to be eligible to receive those funds. The approved program, however, has to be approved by the CPUC. Which is, we made a decision, we wanted to participate. We made the decision to mirror Edison's because theirs is already an approved program. So that's what we did. That's how we came up with our first program. We met with the CPUC Energy Division several times. We worked with Edison. In fact, Edison created the advice letter and submitted it on our behalf for the program. And we have yet to receive approval on that program today. We are still moving forward because we've always intended on doing a demand response, but right now those SGIP funds are in a holding pattern. We've submitted our program. We've run into some challenges getting it approved, but and Kathy's going to speak to that during her general manager update. But rest assured, we're still moving forward with this demand response program because we think it's valuable. Okay. The next program we're working on is it's called a DERMS, which stands for Distributed Energy Resource Management System. Essentially, a DERMS is how you program administer a demand response program. You have to have this software system and somebody pulling the levers and calling the events. I mentioned we've been working on this for a long time before even the CPUC DR SGIP mandate came out. We began with the installation of assets, so it'll complement the Power Choice program, it'll complement the OHMS Connect program that we did, but it will also complement other CCA programs that you're doing to get assets out there. Ultimately, the goal of this demand response DERMS is we would like to get a fleet of these assets. So when a customer signs up, the CCA will have control of those assets and that energy. Imagine you've got your whole community. Once you have a fleet of those, now you've got this great load that you can adjust. And as you know, we can have a weather event that could really tip the scales on our procurement. So this will help with that. It also will put money in the customer's pockets or bill credits. We haven't decided what that's going to be, but it gives them an incentive to participate and go green. So we've been looking into this. We did draft an RFP. But we were recently introduced to an opportunity. Some of the Northern California CCAs developed a joint RFP for an exact program that we were doing. And they included a piggyback clause. And that means that we have an opportunity to use their results and avoid going through that long, arduous RFP process of getting the bids. We have to have a team to review the bids. We've got to interview. So we've opted to review that. We did have someone look into it for the regulatory piece and the legal piece, and we were assured that it checks all the protocol for our purchasing requirements, RFP requirements. And we also created another subcommittee. This one is going to include, let's see, we've got a CalChoice, somebody from Santa Barbara, and we've got somebody from Prime on this team. We will be reviewing the bids that were the company's name is Lunar Energy. We haven't even met with them yet. Our intent is we've just finished reviewing the process. Our intent is to meet with them over the phone in the next couple of weeks, get a little bit more information on what they need so they can prepare a formal proposal and an estimate. And then we will put together a program recommendation and bring that back to the board for your consideration. Lastly, we're going to talk about future programs. I sort of talked about these on the first slide, but I want to give you just a better update of where we are. The Disadvantaged Community Green Tariff Program, that's a limited participation program, meaning that we received an allocation in 2018 from our CCAs that were in existence with CalChoice at that time. Any of the CCAs that live serve customers in what's called a DAC, a disadvantaged community, were given an allocation of how much solar we were allowed to install. Essentially, the program will give us funding to build a brand new solar asset, a solar facility, like a community solar, though it's commercial. And it will serve the participating CCA customers. Right now, the participating CCAs are Lancaster Energy. We've got Pico Rivera and San Jacinto. Happy to say that after a few years of trying to get our allocation and an RFP, we successfully got a bidder, and that asset is under construction right now. So we're expected to be up and running and begin serving customers April of 2026. What does that mean for the participating CCAs? Those customers will be 100% renewable energy. They don't have to do anything. We're going to switch them to it. They will be served by that asset. They will also receive a 20% overall bill discount. All of that is funded through the state. It is not coming out of your pockets. It won't be coming out of CalChoice. So that's an exciting program. Energy efficiency direct install. I mentioned that earlier. I will share that we have submitted an advice letter and a program to the Energy Division. We actually met with, we being We have a consultant, Frontier Energy, who's helping me, and also our legal staff, Scott Blazing. We did meet with the Energy Division last week for an update. They have not yet made their decision. We're hoping after they've spoken to us and realized that we're sort of a unique in that we have a joint CCA, multiple CCAs, that without each other could not launch this program alone. We would like them to consider approving ours earlier than the others. There is a holdup right now in that they're looking at updating the methodology on how we come up with our budget. Don't want to go into too much, but I will say, you might recall CalChoice, we went to the CPUC, we filed a petition for modification to allow for a minimum amount of funding. We have been trying to get these programs developed for our CCAs in the past 3 years, and we've not been able to do it because the methodology at that time was we could only request funding from programs that the IOUs are already doing called local. Guess what? They don't do local programs. They've moved them all to state and regional. So I think we made a really good case. We did some analysis and we were successful, and they are mandating the IOUs, all the CCAs, they get a 4% of their budget minimum floor. So we were able to use that and file our advice letter. We're still waiting. We're still in a holding pattern, but we're excited about it. And then the last one is equitable building decarb. Mentioned that it's for multi-family residential, and it's for energy efficiency installations. It could be EVs, it could be weatherization, lighting controls. We haven't seen the whole packet yet, but I'm excited. I will be rolling that out to you all in the next couple of months. And with that, I think I covered all of our prongs. Does anyone have any questions?
I actually do have a question.
Yes.
If you go back, it was a slide where you talked about participating with the automatic shut off during a weather event and getting, that one.
Demand response.
So that is a program that our agencies are trying to head up for our customers, correct?
Exactly.
So what if Edison already has devices like the automatic demand response devices connected to someone's home, but they're our customers?
You can unenroll.
Okay.
We will pursue those customers and we'll make it very easy for them to do. I actually did that. I participated in Home Connect at one, but before that, I was in an SCE, the one where they can turn off your air conditioner.
Yes, and that happened to me last.
Yep. Did you participate ever? Because I never participated.
Well, I bought
Ever.
a house that had it on there right already and didn't know that.
So too, they don't remove it.
Okay.
I was able to opt out. It's basically a form that you fill out. It was a little tedious, but I think we're going to be able to work with Edison and come up with a streamlined process in that our customers will say, yes, we want to participate. We'll say, sign this form and we will submit it.
But I guess the question for me that I have is if they already have the device and Edison shuts them off, inevitably less power would be used and they save on our bill as well.
Yes.
But wouldn't they also get whatever discounts associated with that by having the automatic?
Yes, but I will say this. The reason we are designing, there's a couple reasons, but mainly the reason Edison does not have any demand response programs that our residential customers can participate in. Even though they have a program listed on their approved list, they're not enrolling. There is no program administrator. So our CCA customers are stranded. They have these assets and they cannot participate. So it's important for the CCAs, but it's a solution for the customers too. That is something that we're working on with the Energy Division. We'll let you know that as well, that those programs. But the other thing I'm going to say is we don't want to lose your customers because many of their programs require them to opt out and go back to an SCE to participate in their program.
Yeah.
We don't want that.
Yeah.
So it'll help you retain your customers as well.
No, that's great. I'm just trying to figure out how can we get the Edison customers that are, or a list of the customers that already have the Edison devices and really target them.
We can identify them. So Edison devices, I think you're talking about, I don't know many devices that they have other than the air conditioning, and I forgot what that's called.
I'm thinking about.
They put a machine right on your AC. We get an identifier on that with our customer list. So we know, we can tell you how many customers you have. SDP, summer discount plan is what they call it.
Yes.
That one, they do allow you to stay a CCA customer and participate. We can target those customers.
Okay.
In fact, we probably will. The first thing that we would like to do with this demand response is, go after the customers that already have these assets because we can sign them up immediately.
Right.
Also, customers don't have to be a CCA customer to participate in our demand response. So we could capture people with devices and they could participate because that's what Connect does.
Right.
They make money off of our people that have devices. So we're going to recapture those Connect people too. We have that list as well.
Okay.
That's our goal. So that's definitely something we're considering. And I think it's going to be a way to also recapture people that have opted out once they find out that we've got, more robust programs for
Right.
them.
And so they have the power to turn them off, but there's really no ongoing discount associated with that.
Yeah, and they will not have the power to turn them off. So when you opt out, they disconnect that. Now, they didn't take the thing off my wall on the outside, but it's not connected anymore.
Oh, okay. Well, mine was, and my girlfriend thought there was something wrong with the air conditioning unit. I went
Oh,
outside and that little Edison box was
was
lit up,
blinking.
blinking, right? And yeah, it was a bit of an issue. So and then I went back and checked my bill to see if I was enrolled in any kind of program or getting any kind of discount for
You know what, too?
them to have the ability to turn my AC off,
Yeah,
and found out there was nothing.
and it was $50 a year, not worth it for me to sit there and boil in my house.
Yeah.
I don't want to bash that program, but I'm just saying, it's very easy to opt out. The CPUC only allows you to be enrolled in one at a time.
Mhm.
So there is a form that they have to fill out and we can switch.
Well, if we have that list, can we work on some kind of correspondence that
Yeah.
goes out and kind of explains it to at least the customers that they know what this thing is? If you see these, this is what it means, and
Yes.
you may not get any benefit from it.
That's a great suggestion. And so part of that, let Cindy know so she can bring it to the PAC because those are all the things the advisory committee is going to work on. And they are going to design all of, the outreach and everything. But to your point, I think that that's really important that we touch the existing customers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. That's a great question.
No, go ahead. Go there.
Okay, so just to clarify, the goal of the DR program ultimately would be to do load modification applications and reduce our RA burden.
Yes, but I will say, so load modification, of course, that means you're going to move it from that high peak down to the off peak times and it lowers your burden. There's another piece in this SGIP mandate is that they also want to see programs that are CAISO market integrated, which is exciting and something we do want to do. And what does that mean? That means we can also call events if there is a market trigger or a market signal that we could make money selling our excess capacity that's just sitting there. So that's another way to bring in revenue to the CCAs. We're going to be discussing all of that and exploring all of it. But load modification is, that's number one.
And I presume that you'll work with PEA to figure out what that
PEA will be
financial
helping us.
benefit versus expenditure is.
We need to find out the benefit. We need to find out what are the triggers because each CCA might be different, or is it as a whole? We haven't decided how we're going to do that yet. That's more of a procurement side thing, but we're going to bring in Kathy and PEA will be helping us with that.
And then for the equitable decarb direct install program, you said it's multifamily residential. Is there an affordability clause? Are condos eligible?
I haven't seen the assets yet, but I will make sure I find out about the condos. I haven't heard I haven't heard anything about those yet. I haven't seen them yet, so.
What they're offering.
Their assets, what they ultimately decided. So when we were in the original program design and we're on the Southern California Coalition, which has all the IRENs, SoCal Ren, CPA, Orange County, and CalChoice is participating. But LA County is the program administrator of that. We're a partner. So our only lift is the marketing. We didn't really have a lot of say because we're not putting any dollars into it and we're not administering it on some of those things. But I will clarify with that. I will check with them.
And for the EE for small commercial under the elected administrator, is that what we heard from Nancy last board meeting, the light bulbs, I think?
Actually, yes, that was her recommendation because we want to recommend the one that's going to get us approved, right? The easiest low hanging fruit. We did talk to the energy division last week. They agreed that small commercial is a niche that's not touched. So that's going to give us an edge because right now all the IOUs are large commercial or residential. So As far as what methodologies or what, not methodologies, but measures. I know she put in lighting and then HVAC stuff. It's going to depend on what they come up with as far as their methodology. They might be changing that. Right now, we have to come back with, it's called a TRC, a total resource cost. Yeah, and we have to make sure that we're not spending more money, and it has to be an even amount. We're installing to bring their rates down to this even amount. And there's a formula you have to follow. So many of the measures, we looked at heat pumps, but guess what? Energy Division mentioned that. They said, we really want to see you installing electrifying buildings. And we were able to come back and say, that's fantastic. We do too. How do we do that and meet the TRC? And they said, that's what we're looking at. So that's promising. But I will tell you, lighting, that's low hanging fruit, but that is not our goal. I mean, I would love to be able to go to each of you and say, what are you working on? Let's make that part of it. So the fact that they mentioned the heat water pumps, though, I was thinking, okay, this is going the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you. And then lastly, just to confirm so everybody understands, just because the FlexWise and SGIP tangle is a holding pattern, FlexWise is still applicable.
Yep.
To our customers that aren't reliant on the.
Yes.
SGIP.
The only piece of that, and it's really, I wanted to mention it because that's kind of why we got ahead of this. You know, we wanted to come and introduce to you the demand and tell you what it was all about. They sort of forced our hand because we were launching our care program. And so all of a sudden we find out, oh no, they have to check this box and have a program. The Energy Division has allowed us to do that, but those customers, and it's just that care program, those customers are sort of sitting in this holding pattern. If it all goes by the wayside, there's no harm, no foul. Those customers will be offered another option. That's going to affect everybody applying for SGIP, not just CalChoice customers. But I think Kathy might have some updates on that. That's the only reason why we got ahead of it. Otherwise, we would have, this is the program suite we were bringing to you. Yeah, thank you.
Kathy, so I understand the DERMS and the virtual power plant program is still under development and is offering potential direct pay or bill credits.
Yep.
What are the incentives that are being contemplated in either the FlexWise and the other demand response programs?
Well, FlexWise Saver that's what we've took to many of your councils. That's just a rate. Okay, so they're going to get a lower rate. It's a 30% lower than what your standard, whatever your residential rate is, when your rates change, it'll be a discount of 30%. And then there's an adder fee, a flat adder fee. The rewards and advantage, those will probably be in the lines of a bill credit, but it doesn't have to be. So we haven't had these discussions. Other CCAs, some of them do gift cards even. You can do a gift card. You could do a cash rebate and send them a check. You could do a bill credit. That's all up in the air. We still have to determine that. We're meeting with this company in a couple of weeks to give us a better idea of what this means and what kind of incentives will be available, right? Because out of those savings, that's where we're going to get the money to pay for the incentives. So we don't really know how much that's going to be yet, but all options are on the table. So share. I mean, I would say, yeah, if there's something you want, let Pamela know and she'll bring it to the group.
All right, thanks.
Okay.
Any other questions? Any questions from those remote? All right, hearing none, thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody.
All right, that takes us to item number 5, General Manager and Regulatory Update. Miss Kathy DeFalco.
I changed the slides, right? Okay. Good afternoon, Chair Harris and members of the board. So today I wanted to update you on a few regulatory items of note and also share with you a couple of bills that we're following. There's a lot of information here, so please feel free to ask questions as we go through it. The first item that I wanted to discuss is the financial security requirement. So The financial security requirement was implemented in 2018 through a CPU decision. And the purpose of this financial security requirement is to put an instrument in place that will guarantee that if a CCA fails or ceases to operate, that the IOU is able to recover any procurement or administrative costs associated with the return of those customers to the IOU. The minimum FSR is $147,000. It's been very stable for several years. There's a approved methodology for calculating that includes the market exposure and how many accounts there are, things of that nature. The PCIA also has a material influence on the FSR. Higher PCA translates to a higher requirement for the FSR. In 2023, SCE filed advice letters that showed a significant increase to the FSR amount, several million for each CCA. So at that point in time, CalChoice staff looked at changing from a letter of credit as the instrument to satisfy the FSR to a surety bond. So the letter of credit required 100% cash collateral. So each of the CCAs put up $147,000 to secure that letter of credit. Obviously, we did not want the CCAs to have to put up millions of dollars in cash to secure a letter of credit. So at that time, we began investigating the surety bond. Tammy worked with a surety company to find an underwriter who would secure this type of a bond. It was the first time one of these bonds had ever been contemplated for the FSR. It is allowable, though, in the statute. So we succeeded in doing that. I believe it was in October of that year. About the same time, the CPUC denied those advice letters. The reason was that there was currently a proceeding that was going on at the CPUC, the provider of last resort proceeding. And as part of that proceeding, they were reviewing the methodology used for the FSR. So they ultimately denied those advice letters and deferred any change to the FSR amount until after that proceeding had concluded. So we carried on, fast forward to today. And this past May, advice letters came out, and they were, again, significantly higher than we anticipated, well above the 147,000. So at that time, we had our regulatory attorney, Scott Blazing, review. Kevin was working with the CalCCA team, led by Eric Little, their market design director, to go through all of the documentation that was filed as part of the advice letters. There were many errors, miscalculations that were found. CalCCA staff led conversations with SCE to discuss those errors. They did agree, SCE agreed that there were indeed errors, and at that point, let us know that they would be filing supplemental advice letters. Some of the errors that we found, just to give you an idea, there was costs that were already being charged to the CCAs through another mechanism called CAM, cost allocation mechanism. Those were not reduced. They should have come out of the calculation. They used a retail sales rate for their electricity that was too low because it incorporated the trigger that came into effect last October due to an overcollection. So there were things of that nature. So they were just way out of whack. So the supplemental advice letters came out. At that point, all but 2 of the CalChoice CCAs were back in line with 147,000. 2 of the CCAs, unfortunately, were still above that minimum. And again, Kevin worked with Brian Dickman from NewGen, who does the analytics for our rate proceedings, and also Eric Little with the CalCCA team, and meticulously went through all of the the analysis and the methodology and found that those two CCAs were in fact higher, and that was primarily due to the PCIA. Again, the PCIA is based on the vintage, so each of your CCAs has a different PCI vintage. So those PCI impacts did affect the FSR for those two CCAs. So I basically wanted to give you an update. Those new, the surety bonds continue to be in place. The cost for the surety bonds are 1% annual for the bond amount. And so that is, it's still a very small fee associated or a cost associated with fulfilling this FSR requirement. So that is the update on the FSR. And any questions before I move on to the next item? Okay. And those of you affected know who you are. I next wanted to talk about the general rate case. And before I move into that, and the general rate case is pretty exciting. We just had a proposed decision a couple of weeks ago. And there were a lot of wins, which is not always the case when things are before the CPUC. So before I did that, I wanted to just do kind of a general overview of the two primary IOU rate cases. One is the ERA. You're pretty familiar with the ERA. It's the one that we look at that covers the procurement costs associated with the generation. It is intended to be revenue neutral. It comes out once a year, usually in April or May, and then is revised 2 or 3 times prior to the end of the year. And in late December, the advice letters will be filed for generation rates that go into effect January 1. So we generally discuss this with you during the rate setting process. The general rate case is a proceeding that covers the transmission and delivery side generally. It's it's the cost of operations, capital investment, maintenance, and also shareholder investor returns. It comes out every 3 to 4 years. We are currently in the 2025 GRC, which will go through 2028. So we just concluded the first phase. It's broken up into several phases that look at focus on different areas. So the general rate case, as I mentioned, this was quite a win for the CCAs in Southern California territory. CalChoice is part of a group of joint CCAs in the Southern California Edison territory. Keys and Fox is the legal team that represents CalChoice and the SoCal CCAs on rate proceedings. And they also use a consultant, Brian Dickman with NewGen, who is able to access the work papers and do some of the analysis that as CCAs were considered market participants. And so we are not, the work papers are confidential. As market participants, we don't have access to that information. So again, CalCCA was involved. They provided testimony and input into this proceeding. The first item on this I want to discuss is the monthly account maintenance fee. This is the fee that you get when you see your non-energy bill from SCE, that the monthly account maintenance fee is part of that bill. It is currently at 4 cents per month per service account. In the GRC, Edison wanted to raise that to 21 cents. So we got very involved in this because it was a significant impact to the non-energy bills. So CalCC basically argued that the methodology that Edison used to calculate using the labor cost and the time that they put into fixing errors, processing exceptions, and basically doing technical support on behalf of the CCAs, that all of that information that was in the work papers related to the GRC was unsubstantiated, and that in fact, much of the additional time that SCE had to spend correcting errors was due to inefficiencies on SCE side and also problems with the transition in their billing system. So the commission agreed with us, which we're not used to that happening all the time. So that was a huge win. And there were a lot of players working on this, CalCCA, Keys and Fox. Kevin was the intermediary with all of these and kind of coordinating everything. And the cost avoidance, this is not a direct cost savings, but the cost avoidance collectively across the CalChoice CCAs is over $620,000 annually. So that was the first one that I wanted to cover. And I do also want to mention that the proposed decision on the GRC, this is for track 1, came out in late July. I believe it was July 28th. And Kevin did send out a board memo. I believe it was on the 31st that outlines all of the information that came out in the proposed decision, the wins, the partial wins, all of that information. If you have not had a chance to look at it, I would encourage you to do so. It's an excellent summary of the proposed decision. And I'm not going to go through all of the wins. I'm kind of picking out the 2 major ones. The other one is the EDI van, which is basically the tool that Edison uses to transmit billing and usage data from the IOU to the CCA. This charge, the van charge is what we call it, was previously at 5%, or excuse me, 5 cents per service account per month. And none of the other IOUs have this charge, by the way. So in 2021, there was a settlement agreement between the CCAs and SCE that required Edison to reduce or eliminate this charge, to basically phase this out, use an alternative method for transferring that data that would not cost the CCAs money. So in this GRC, Edison did propose to reduce that fee from 5 cents to 2 cents, which is great. That amounts to a cost savings collectively across the 8 CCAs of a little bit over $100,000. However, there was no timeline for them to phase out using the van transfer method. So CalCCA again commented, stating that they should eliminate this charge in the 2026 calendar year. The commission came back and they also supported the reduction from the 5 cent to the 2 cent. The commission did not agree with CalCCA that, or let me rephrase that. The commission agreed that SCE had substantially or substantively met the requirement to reduce the fee, even though they had not eliminated it. They did give Edison a timeline that they must come back in the next GRC, which is 2029, with an alternative to eliminate that charge on our non-energy bills. So those were kind of the 2 major wins. And again, there's more information related to the billing issues. I think one thing of note in the billing issues, and I think everybody, you're all familiar, billing issues have been horrible since the CRP transition to the billing system a couple of years ago. The commission actually found that SCE was violating its own tariff in some of the activities that were occurring. And they did direct Edison to work with the CCAs on getting through the billing issues, coming up with solutions to the billing issues, and then report back to the commission on that topic. So that is the general rate case. And again, I'm going to pause here if you have any questions. All right, the SCHIP funding update. Kathy talked about this and mentioned that the funds were in a holding pattern. That's a polite way to kind of say what's going on. So I kind of created a timeline, which I thought might be helpful. But basically, AB 209, which is the bill that enables this S-chip funding, does state that these monies will be available to all customers, not just IOU customers, but bundled and unbundled customers. That bill also stated that the commission could implement the requirement of a qualified DR program as part of the requirement for receiving incentives under the S-chip funding. So last year, the CPUC did indeed issue a decision that required any recipients of these incentives, and again, this is just for the low income portion, the RSSE recipients. And they outlined in that in that decision, which criteria, you mentioned load modification, that's one of them. Also in that decision, there was a reference to the CPP program that Kathy spoke about earlier, and again, it's kind of the first step in some sort of a load modification or DR program. So in that decision, it did give the IOU an exemption from doing the load modification type programs, and they allowed the IOUs to use CPP until these other programs could be put in place. It doesn't mention CCAs. It doesn't say they are exempt. They have that same exemption, and it doesn't say that, it doesn't expressly state that they also can apply for that exemption or that they are disqualified from that exemption. So I know this is a lot of backstory. So when CalChoice filed that advice letter that Kathy spoke about, we put in there a CPP program that perfectly mimicked the IOUs, thinking along the lines that it too would be eligible for that exemption until the other programs were in place. So in July, we received a rejection of the advice letter. A rejection is typically based on procedural grounds. It's not based on substance. And in the rejection letter, it basically said that the Energy Division staff did not have the authority to modify a commission decision, and that the commission would have to review and approve this program. So within a week, Scott Blazing had filed a letter to the commission requesting full review and approval, asking for a resolution to be issued by the commission to allow CCAs to also have the same exemption as the IOUs. And also I want to add that all of the CCAs in the state, not just the CalChoice CCAs, were affected by this. All of their programs were rejected. So that's one avenue. And basically I wanted to kind of share with you that there's three avenues that we're looking at as far as getting those funds loosened up and available for CCA customers. So that's the first one. About the same time, mid-July, the assigned commissioner issued a ruling that basically said that there's this other program that's available and for residential customers. Also, as part of that ruling, it posed the question and asked for return comments. Should we, the commission, exempt low-income customers from these qualified demand response programs? Overwhelmingly, the response was yes, there should be an exemption. We have a group of CCAs throughout the state. These are all the program administrators and folks within other CCAs kind of banded together, led again by Scott Blazing on the team. There's also an attorney with Keys and Fox, and an attorney for MCE. So there was a lot of power in those meetings, and we filed our comments outlining why we should get that exemption. So that was kind of the second avenue. The third is also, all of this basically has happened in July. The third is a coalition letter, which CalChoice did sign, that went to the governor's office, requesting that, because this started with a legislative issue, that this be addressed through a budget trailer bill. And so that is also, and Andrea with DBG is also following this for us. Prior to the recess, the legislative recess, we thought that language was going to be in the bill and moving forward. Apparently, there was some disagreement over the exact language. They returned from recess yesterday, and my understanding is it is under discussion. So that's kind of the third avenue. So we are really approaching this in any way that we can. Meantime, the portal, and I know there's so many moving parts in this story, if you will. The portal that accepts the S-chip applications, Kathy talked about, we're almost at 100 that have been input and have reserved funds through this S-chip portal, and another 450-ish that are pending. The portal was closed down. So initially it opened in June. You know, it was very clear, again, in the bill that these funds should be available to all customers, not just IOU customers. So that, you know, that's kind of another avenue. By having it open but not having the qualified programs issue resolved, it was technically, you know, or, you know, in reality was not available to all customers. It was only available to IOU customers. The portal has been shut down, has been paused by SCE, and I believe PG&E also has been shut down. And I don't know if SDG&E is also. Okay, so PG&E and SCE have shut down their portals. So right now they are not accepting any applications. And then the last piece, the latest and greatest news, was one of the attorneys that we work with had a conversation with somebody at the energy division who told them that a proposed decision would be coming out related to this, which would resolve the issue. That was last Thursday. We were hoping to see the proposed decision Friday or early this week. It is not out yet. So we are I'm furiously checking emails, waiting to see that proposed decision. With all the support that we've seen from all of the CCAs, Barbara, Kathy have met with the energy division. Also, we had ex partes with the commissioner staff. They seemed very, very receptive. When we talked about the program that the assigned commissioner ruling said was available, it in fact is not available to residential customers. It's also a very complicated program, but there is no third-party administrator, which that program requires. And it's not available if you go to SCE's website. So that's kind of where we are with the S-chip funding. I know most of the CCAs are participating in the CalChoice Care program, and some of you are also involved through other means in the S-chip low-income funding. So I wanted to give you an update on that particular situation. It is very fluid and unfolding day by day. We're seeing activity on it every day and anticipate seeing something, you know, hopefully this week as far as resolution. When we do, I will certainly make sure that you all are aware of that. So those were the three items that I wanted to go over with you from a regulatory perspective. And again, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. To kind of wrap this up, go ahead, George.
No, just going to ask if there were any.
Okay. Or I should say Chairman Harris. It's a hard habit to break.
No, so yeah, unless there's any other questions, thank you for the update.
All right. I do have one other small section that I wanted to go over. And this is just a couple of bills that we are following. I'm not going to go into near as much detail. This kind of reminds me, Beth Vaughn, Executive CEO from CCO was supposed to be here today. Unfortunately, she had jury duty and was unable to get excused. She was going to go over some of the legislative items as well. So I made this very short and sweet. kind of anticipating that she would be able to provide some other information. But one of the big things, and I did kind of in parentheses, tie this back to the board's approved platform, so you can see why we are concerned about this. SB 540, also known as the Pathways Initiative, that one is directly related to affordability on customer bills. So basically, this bill looks at expanding the west-wide region outside. So it wouldn't just be CAISO. We would open the market up to other Western states. So how does this reduce electricity bills? We're able to sell. We overproduce solar in the state. Sometimes we curtail. Sometimes it's at a negative price and we have to pay when solar is being generated, or we export it, and we export it not always for any revenue. So, and when I say we, I'm talking about the state. By opening this up to regional, you can now transact in some of these other states where they are looking for those resources, and we're no longer having to curtail generation. In addition, Wyoming, New Mexico, they have very, very low cost wind that we would be able to import at a lower cost. And this also kind of frees up some of the RA constraints that we've seen in the past, because again, it broadens what is considered in-state. So that is basically what we're watching on SB 540. Oh, the other thing about SB 540, this is something that the governor is really adamant gets passed this year. There was a roundtable that CalCCA attended. I believe it was early last week, potentially the week before. The governor actually attended, and he said he will get a bill passed, if not this one, a different one. This is the most direct way to reduce energy costs in the state of California is through regionalization. So the other two, AB 825 and SB 541, these are basically about CCA autonomy. The AB 825 bill is basically an energy affordability omnibus, which means it just kind of throws a bunch of things together. There is a section that was added that creates a task force to review and consider DR and energy efficiency programs and establishes standardization criteria. The concern here is that it undermines local control. CCA is one of the things that CCAs are proud of and want to be able to do is to tailor programs for their own communities. This has the potential to take that away. So that's why we're watching that one. SB 541 is the load shifting reporting, and that too goes back to CCA autonomy. This would require the CEC to develop a comprehensive report of load shifting. And the concern here is it will lead to procurement mandates, because now somebody else is in control of how we as CCAs shift our load. So that's another one that and also about the timing of shifting load. Not everybody has the same load profiles. I mean, there's a lot of similarities in load profiles, but Apple Valley's load profile is very different than Santa Barbara's. So again, we don't want them telling us what to do. We want to be able to create our own programs that respond to things that we want it to respond to. Kathy talked about market changing, looking at pricing triggers, things of that nature. We want control of that. So that's another one that we're watching. And that is my update. One other thing I did want to kind of bring up and remind everyone, we do have our all-member summit, which George was talking about in October. I hope you all will be there. We always have a good time sharing our ideas with one another, spending time with the consultants. You have amazing teams that support you, and they're there. It's really great for you to have an opportunity to interact with them and get to know them and what they do on your behalf. So that's it. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
All right, and I guess the final item is whether or not we have an update from council. And I know in Allison's absence, nothing to report. Got it. Does not look like we're going to have a closed session, no closed session. All right, public comment. Can we read?
We have no requests.
No requests to speak. Thank you. Any board member questions before we close? Okay, and then any board member requests for future agenda items?
Would it be possible to request an update on the conversations with SE regarding bill collections and sharing, potentially sharing services?
Are you asking about the settlement agreement?
No, I recall you saying before that part of our issue with bill collections was not being able to get the unique identifying information that we were talking to Edison about.
And that is part of.
Is that part of it?
settlement
Okay,
agreement.
fantastic. Yeah, next time.
And that may or may not be still covered in a closed session presentation regarding the settlement condition, but that's what we'll get it. Okay, and if we need to add that item to the November 18th workshop closed session, we can, if there's new information at that time, correct? All right. So with that, I will adjourn the meeting at 2:35-ish. And we'll adjourn to the next scheduled meeting, November 18th, to a location to be determined at a time to be determined after staff has a chance to evaluate all of our options. All right, thank you.